is Valley News Live at 4.
We begin this afternoon with breaking news. An arrest warrant has been issued for a man in connection to a shooting in Grand Forks. Police are looking for 24-year-old Christopher Lane. They're looking to charge him with attempted murder, motor vehicle theft, and reckless endangerment. They say that shooting happened Saturday at the Quality Inn. If you have any information on where Lane may be, contact Grand Forks Police. New for you at 4, a FARGO woman has pleaded guilty to killing her boyfriend. 33-year-old Terin was originally charged with 1 count of murder, but her plea has reduced that charge to felony manslaughter. It happened back on May 30th. Police say they found 27-year-old Keenan Poitra bleeding heavily in his apartment hallway after being stabbed in the groin, which severed a major artery. Stately told officers it happened after she confronted him about other women. She faces up to 10 years in prison. Charges are expected for 6 men in the coming days after a human trafficking sting in Beltrami County. The Minnesota BCA set up a fake ad on a sex advertisement site and arrested the men as they arrived to that meeting place. The 6 men were booked into the Beltrami County Jail for solicitation of prostitution. The suspects include 2 men from Bemidji, 1 from Park Rapids, and men from Washington, Illinois, and Missouri. Their charges are still pending. We're kicking off a pretty dry week, but some of us could see storms tonight. Let's go over to Hutch to see who might need to grab an umbrella. Hutch?
Stacy, at least we do not need to grab snow shovels. But take a look at the white floating across your Dakota Magic Casino shot there. That is not snow. Just some cottonwood trees releasing a little bit of cotton out there down by the South Dakota border. Hey, speaking of which, we do have some showers and thunderstorms, very splotchy in nature. They extend from Lake of the Woods through Beltrami County, Polk County, and into the Cheyenne River Valley, where we do have some thunder and lightning. These are nearly stationary down there near Oaks and Gwinner, so some healthy rainfall potential and totals could be happening in isolated locations. Notice most areas not seeing any rain at all. Hit and miss pimples on the radar from Roseau down through Thief River Falls and toward Ada in Norman County. There are a few showers also not far from you in Bagley. We have 59 rain-cooled degrees in Oaks. Thunderstorms were over your area momentarily, but the warmest weather in Northern Valley, where Hallock has 81. Tonight, a few clouds in the FM area. I think we stay dry this evening and temperatures sneaking into the 60s. On a quiet night with a light north breeze, a beautiful night to get out there and take that walk in the park. Likewise, in Grand Forks, I think for the most part, we stay dry here just off to the east of us, a better chance near Crookston. Hey, coming up, though, we have some heat riding its way into the valley for the big holiday weekend. I'll have the details on what you can expect if you're going to get outdoors here in just a few minutes.
All right. Thanks so much, Hutch. Minnesota is bracing for an extended wildfire season as the usual summer reprieve is looking more unlikely. Wildfires are typically at their worst in the spring and fall. Fire officials usually get a break in the summer when plants are fully green and there's more rainfall. But more than half the state is experiencing drought conditions, and this dry weather is expected to continue throughout the summer. More wildfires have already broken out this year across the state than in all of last year. Minnesota typically has fewer than 1,200 wildfires a year, burning roughly 40 square miles. So far, more than 1,400 fires have burned nearly 55,000 square miles of forest and grassland. We're learning more about an apartment fire that caused more than $300,000 worth of damages. That happened June 14th at 3325 17th Avenue South in Fargo. Firefighters found 2 decks fully engulfed in flames. That fire racked up around $365,000 in damages. The fire department is now saying the fire was caused by improperly discarded smoking materials. Small business owners in Langdon are speaking out about a proposed city ordinance they say could cost them their livelihoods. The ordinance changes how utility bills are doled out between tenants in the same building. We'll bring you the latest from that city council meeting tonight on Valley News Live at 9 and 10. Moorhead Public Service is warning customers about a phone scam. The utility says customers are reporting suspicious phone calls and automated messages threatening them if they don't pay up. MPS says they do use automated messages and contact customers with past due balances over the phone. However, they won't demand direct payment over the phone, and they will never use threatening tactics. If you receive a suspicious call from someone claiming to be from Moorhead Public Services, hang up and call the number on your screen. The trial starts tomorrow for a man accused of killing Grand Forks police officer Cody Hulte. Salama Pendleton is charged with 2 murders, his mother and Hulte, who was killed during a shootout with officers attempting to serve an eviction notice. That trial is expected to last until mid-July. If convicted, Pendleton could get life in prison. A fire broke out today at a building in West Fargo scheduled to have its grand opening right now. The fire chief says a plumber ran over to the West Fargo Fire Department this morning to let them know about a fire in the furnace at the Northern Lights building. Fire crews shut the furnace down so that fire wouldn't spread. Construction workers were evacuated, but no one was hurt. The grand opening at Northern Lights is underway. With just days to spare, Minnesota lawmakers have reached a deal to avoid a partial government shutdown. The agreement includes police reform, like curtailing no-knock warrants and modifying the police misconduct database to create an early warning system to keep bad officers off the streets. But activists say a key item is missing, namely changes to traffic stops that would prevent incidents like the one that led to Dante Wright's death. Many of these were proposed by the People of Color Indigenous Caucus. No word yet on who among them will vote in favor of this legislation as proposed. A few are planning to vote against it. Rescue workers in Surfside, Florida recovered another body overnight from that devastating building collapse, bringing the death toll to 10. More than 150 people are still unaccounted for. Mark Strassman has the latest.
Rescue workers created a bucket brigade as they removed concrete rubble the size of basketballs bit by bit.
We're going to continue and work ceaselessly.
Officials in Surfside, Florida say 5 days after the collapse, there is still reason for hope.
There's certain areas that we have not gotten to, but we've been able to place cameras that seem to have large enough spaces, voids, that occupants may still be in there.
First responders from Israel and Mexico are helping in the search. The team from Mexico, Sedania International, is using a dog named Oreo.
Because of the weight, she can go in other places that have more instability that another dog cannot go.
Some family members have criticized the search efforts, saying they're going too slowly. Over the weekend, relatives were escorted to the site where they got a first-hand look at the safety risks involved.
They witnessed a rescuer tumble 25 feet down the mountain. That is a perfect example of the situation that we're dealing with.
Federal investigators are also on the scene.
The people of Florida want to understand how could this happen, and then what could we do to make sure it doesn't happen again.
An assessment done by engineers in 2018 noted that in the garage, an abundant cracking and spalling of various degrees was observed in the concrete columns, beams, and walls. But an attorney for the Homeowners Association, as well as an engineer who spoke to CBS News, both said nothing warned of an imminent catastrophe. Mark Strassman, CBS News, Surfside, Florida.
A team of 6 scientists and engineers are collecting information on the building collapse for a preliminary investigation. That will determine if a full investigation will be conducted. That team can only enter the site, though, once it's deemed safe for them to do so. The Supreme Court today declined to take up the issue of whether schools must allow students to use the bathroom that matches their gender identities. The court decided not to hear arguments on the case of Gavin Grimm, a Virginia student who was denied access to a boys' bathroom by his school board. The board had asked the high court to uphold the policy, which was struck down by lower courts. The issue was whether federal anti-discrimination law applied to LGBTQ students. The order denying review in the case means Grimm's victory in the appeals court remains intact. One of the Supreme Court's most conservative justices is calling federal marijuana laws into question. Clarence Thomas said today that a 2005 ruling from the court upholding federal marijuana possession laws may be out of date. His comments came as the court declined to hear the appeal of a Colorado medical marijuana dispensary that was denied federal tax breaks. Thomas wrote that because of the hodgepodge of federal policies on marijuana, federal laws against its sale or cultivation may no longer make sense. 36 states now allow medical marijuana, including North Dakota and Minnesota. 18 states allow recreational use. An answer to prayers for some was announced today. A pop-up food pantry at Lutheran Church of the Cross in West Fargo is being transitioned into a permanent hunger relief program. It's called West Fargo Eats and will offer a shopping-style experience. They say typical food relief will be 3 days worth of food and hygiene items. It's tentatively slated to open in September. Coming up, cruising is back. We'll show you the changes for passengers and what happens if someone tests positive for COVID.
But next, over the last week or so, beneficial moisture out in Minot and in the both Missouri and James River valleys and Devil's Lake Basin. All details on some warmer and drier weather heading our way for the holiday. Those details are next.